Joining me is a very good friend of mine. He is a hard worker. He's a good guy. He's seen some crazy stuff. We're very close. Please welcome again for one of many times. Please welcome Ryan Burns. How are you, Ryan?
Fantastic, Sam. Thanks so much for having me on.
Ryan, always a pleasure. You and I talk all the time. For those who may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where our listeners can find you?
You bet. I've got a small podcast known as Hero Paranormal. You can find that on YouTube or heroparanormal.com. And I have a little operation that is up in the Uintah Basin of Utah that shares a fence line with the old Bigelow Ranch, more famously known as the Skinwalker property. And yeah, you can check that out at spacewolfresearch.com.
All right, man. So listen, dude, you've invited us out to Skinwalker a bunch of times. Johnny wants to go, XG wants to go. I'm pretty sure Ice isn't out there, so XG should be fine.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay.
fine there. I'll be
Okay.
fine there.
We all want to go out there. So Ryan, where does your journey start? How did you get into this world?
This is such a good question, Sam.
Thank
And I
you.
get it all the time.
Oh,
And nobody gets the prequel. Nobody gets the prequel. And you guys are going to get the prequel. It is everybody gets the, oh, I was a fly fishing guide and I stumbled upon it and wow, it's crazy. But there's more to it than that. Uh, I was born in Costa Rica and I would visit Costa Rica every summer. My parents, my mom was from there, my dad was from California, but they wanted me to learn Spanish and keep in touch with my family. So every summer they would send me to Costa Rica, even though it was hard on them and financially. And it was great. It was a great experience. But on one particular trip when I was about 11 years old, I stayed at an aunt's house. And this aunt's house had this room that was like deep in the middle of the property. And it didn't have any windows. It was in the middle of the house. There was only one entrance. And I came to find out that my dad had actually rented that room when he was dating my mom. And fast forward, that room comes into play a little bit later. Kind of eerie. But anyway, I was 11 watching. I remember the movie. I remember everything. We were watching like American Ninja. I wasn't supposed to be watching movies that were that like hardcore.
I love American Ninja.
Yeah, it's the
Those
best.
are
That's
great
great.
movies.
It is super cheesy. Great stuff. I loved it. And it was time to go to sleep. So I went to go to sleep and I was watching it with my cousin. And I went to sleep or tried to go to sleep. And as I said, there's only one entrance in or out of this room. And I'm laying there on the bed and I feel something grab my toe. And it feels like it's got claws. And I at first think it's my cousin messing with me. And I'm like, come on, man. And whatever it is grabs my toe and pulls so hard that I literally fell off the bed. I like came off the bed, freaked out, turned on the light, looked around the room, looked under the bed. Small room. There's really nothing going on. It's a poured concrete home. I mean, nobody snuck in. And I'm just like, what happened? So I checked the door. The door is closed. Nobody came in. I turn off the light. I try to lay down again. And the same thing happens again, even more forcefully, like just pulls me out of bed. My toes like all red and jacked up. And I'm just freaking out at this point. I'm 11 years old, so I'm not a kid. And I'm like, well, you've got to figure something out. And aside from running and asking to sleep with my aunt or cousin or anything, I just decided to drop to my knees and pray. And that's exactly what I did. And this little, like, still small voice kind of just said, leave the light on. And that's what I did. I slept with the light on. So that comes into play later. That particular room later on, I had an aunt that is actually, it was my great aunt that I was staying at. Her daughter was seeing a cattleman that a rancher who had a wife that was a witch. So they were kind of doing some shenanigans. And this allegedly this wife that was a witch cursed this this daughter of hers.
What?
Yeah. And she had all kinds of events happen in that same room. And it got so bad that she eventually went into a coma for over 2 years. And she didn't pop out of that coma until the witch actually died. So that was my
That is
first,
so crazy, dude.
yeah, paranormal
Wild.
experience. And that comes into play with how I found this property. So this property, I was working as a fly fishing guide up in Flaming Gorge, which isn't far from there. And I had a buddy that was like a big Freemason, and he was into like rock gardens, and he found these glowing these rocks that would glow in the dark. And he's like, "Yeah, these you can find them here." And I said, "Oh man, I need to get some of these. If I could have like I would have the coolest house in town, with like a rock garden that glows in the dark." And so I went out with my truck and I was loading these things up, and all fly fishing guides are in Tivas, sandals. And I'm loading them up and I see a light coming through the trees, and I dropped one of the bigger rocks and it like landed on my foot and broke my toe.
Oh man.
Same toe that thing pulled in that same room.
Oh my God.
And I'm looking at the light because I dropped the rock because I'm thinking this could be a forest ranger, this could be law enforcement. These rocks are probably something they don't want me taking.
Yeah, yeah. Like you're not allowed to take like seashells from the beach. Sometimes they'll tell you like you're not allowed to take it. It's not your property. So I could see you freaking out over the rocks.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble for taking rocks. And I looked at the light, and it wasn't a forest ranger. It wasn't law enforcement. It like floated off into the air. And I was just like, wait a minute. So that was weird. But then I'm dealing with this broken toe that's just a mess. It was a compound fracture. The bone shot out of the end of the toe.
Oh my
Whoa.
God.
There's just blood everywhere. So the closest medical is about an hour away. Long story short, I eventually get down there, and they say, okay, you can't, everything's fine, we think, but you can't get the toe wet. Well, this is like the worst advice or anything you can hear if you're a fly fishing guide. You can't get the toe wet. So I had to take some time off work, and I basically started looking for fresh water to fish on my days off. That's how I came across this random ranch road. And back then they had zero security. There wasn't even a gate. You could just drive right in to this Skinwalker area.
Where is this? Utah?
This is in Utah. It's right in the Uintah Basin of Utah. And so I was driving looking for this waterway below what's known as Bottle Hollow Reservoir. There should be a tailwater down there to fish. And as I'm driving below this red rock ridge, I see this elderly Native American kind of coming down off the ridge, moving very robotically. And so I rolled down my window and I said, "Hey, do you need a ride?" There was no response. Came right up to the window and just climbed right in. And I remember it was like seconds, and I was in tears. Like it felt like this thing was like picking and choosing memories out of my mind, like kind of like a mind.
What?
Yeah, it was like going through my brain like a Rolodex, taking all the emotional highs and the bad things, the good things, anything of value, like archonically feeding off of my memories. I lost about 3 hours of time, and they found me back up at the reservoir on the other side of the ridge. This was the Bureau of Indian Affairs that found me. I was kind of hanging out of the truck, catatonic, with my seatbelt holding me in.
Fuck.
And they said, just tell us exactly what happened. I tell them this crazy story. I'm like, what the hell? I'll just tell them the story. And they didn't seem that preoccupied. And one of them said, yeah, he got nabbed by the Skinwalker. Like, this is something they were apparently aware of. And that was my first bout with this area.
Now, do you think that the Skinwalker came down because he saw you driving?
I don't know. It probably didn't help that I yelled and was like, "Hey, you need a ride somewhere?" Like total clown move.
That's the most white people shit I've ever.
Totally.
Hey, Native American, would you like a ride? That's crazy, dude. So you probably got molested too by the Skinwalker.
You don't
And
remember?
yeah, I mean, we push those memories out. Uh, so, so, so this event happens, and what you just want to learn more?
Yeah, I just kind of pushed it out of my mind. I'm like, I'll go back to work, which I did.
And you were living in this area at
Yeah,
this
I
time.
mean, more or less. And I eventually, it eventually kind of came back on me. Like something, this is wild. And it eventually kind of came back on me. I remember, fast forward quite a few years, I was working in Salt Lake for a hotel chain, and I had met somebody named Dave Rosenfeld. He goes by Alien Dave, and he was telling me all about this place and describing it to me, and I'm like, yeah, I've been there, man. And I talked to him about what had happened to me, and he said, you've got to get to the bottom of this. Like, there's this place like chose you for whatever reason. You should really look into it. And I remember I quit my job. I moved to the area full time. I was researching full time. I was on the property all the time. And back then, I had no idea there was like this secret Pentagon black budget project taking place.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it was crazy. And I think they kind of liked me traipsing all over the place because it was kind of like like free bait. But they had something called ATIP and OSAP going on, which is the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, and then on the back end, the Advanced Aerospace Weapon Systems Application Program. And these were at the time extremely top secret. And believe it or not, they're still in the area. There are still some of the most top secret projects going on. And it's an amazing, they're different, but the same. Kind of like different, different, same, same. They're always changing and morphing, and it's an area that the government's interested in.
Dude, that is crazy. Now, have you met a bunch of people that have gone through all the stuff that you went through? I mean, sure, you've just met a ton of them.
Yeah, I've met some interesting people. I've met, there's always the experiencers. I think the most interesting people are these government guys, though, that, they just kind of end up with like this project or this job, or, they're supposed to look into this or that. And they're just kind of like, oh, wow, this is happening. And those
Oh,
are my
that's
favorite.
interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah,
They
those are
probably
my
got like,
favorite
I'm gonna get in
guys.
the FBI and I'm gonna fight terrorism. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, you're gonna go to this ranch where these native elders molest people in their cars. Okay. And you're going to investigate and see if that stuff is real.
Those are my
That's
favorite
crazy
guys.
because they're probably going through the processing as well.
100%.
Yeah, like calling
100%.
moms, their moms called like, so honey, how's the FBI been for you? Oh, you got
Not
no
what I
idea,
signed
mom.
up for. Not what
No,
I
what I
signed
signed
up
up.
for.
Some guy was calling out to a Native American in the desert the other day. Yeah, we're pretty sure he got diddled up the butt. It's just crazy.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. So, let's get into space wolf research. What is that?
Yeah. Okay. So, Space Wolf Research is a property that we used to call the Southern Vantage Point. And I say we because all of the older researchers than myself, people like Jacques Vallée, Frank Salisbury, Junior Hicks, who would come to my house and talk to me, they
Wow,
would
what a
recommend.
crazy
Yeah,
world,
it was
man.
crazy. I didn't know Jacques Vallée was part of the National Institute for Discovery Science. I didn't know who he was. I was just like, this is such a nice guy. But this is where they recommended kind of getting 360-degree views, looking down upon the ranch. You could look in every direction, And this is another ranch that sat vacant for quite some time and has kind of a sordid history, which with some really freaky stuff that I found out about after I purchased it that had happened in the past there. Tons of stuff. But yeah, when it became available for sale, I mean, the place was a dump. So it had been abandoned for a long time. There wasn't a whole lot of, there wasn't a bidding war, so to speak. And as soon as I convinced my wife, hey, you should let me buy this dog, I was in. And that's kind of where it started.
Oh, so people will sell their part of this like kind of mystical area?
Well, this one's interesting. So it sat vacant for a long time. And I remember this one guy told me, "Hey, this was of interest to national security." He was showing me paperwork that said Solar Warden on it, and I thought, like this is all got to be fake, and it looked really real. Like everything he showed me looked really real. I still don't know if it was real, but he said basically, this you should get this if you can because it's an area of national security. And a lot of the ranchers in the area have seen a lot of weird things. There's this wild experience that these three medical professionals had out there. They went out on a weekend. They wanted to kind of jumpstart things. They didn't want to wait around for it to hit the fan, and so they poured out some animal blood and did some sigils in the dirt.
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, and it got insane. And they kind of came forward with some of this information. It was a guy named Rich Oliver, April Slaughter, and another guy named Matt, and they all claim they got nasal implants. Uh, the big guy, Rich Oliver, died of brain cancer shortly afterwards, and they all said they had a nasal implant that more or less under reverse regression when they got hypnotized they believed that whatever put the nasal implant in them wanted them to take more people out to the property. Kind of like this thing wanted to play with people, right? Like a cat and a mouse.
Oh
Hmm.
my
And now
God.
you're the one now inviting us to the property, which is
We'll
Ooh.
play it
Oh
safe.
shoot,
Yeah.
man. Didn't even think of that. Johnny, Detective Johnny.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So what exactly is Space Wolf research?
Okay, so it started out pretty simple. It was just, a little bit of acreage, and it's where I would go, and I could go with my buddies, and we could engage with the phenomena without having to trespass, and go to Guantanamo. And so that's kind of the original. My original thought is I don't want to run anymore. I just want somewhere where I can kick my feet up and do this and not get in trouble. That's how it started. And then things got weird, like really weird. So everybody and their dog wanted to go out on it. At first, I let everybody and their dog on it, and things got even weirder. I had government types approaching me to buy the property.
What was it? Was it really pricely well? Were they pricing it well?
Yeah, so it was at yeah, now that I look back, I guess I got a smoking deal. It was priced really well for the area. And now it like the prices are just absolutely insane out there. And that's an elephant in the room too. That we can go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, the price per acre out there is just so astronomically high. And I've got very interesting neighbors, and let's just say that the previous regime allegedly sold this for like a very low amount compared to going rates, right? But yeah, it Space Wolf Research, the reason I called it that is because we would all say, let's go out to SWR. And that name's now trademarked. So instead of saying SWR, we would just say Space Wolf Research, and we could still say SWR. And leaving the
Ah.
property one night, everybody asked, why does it have like the wolf in the triangle with the eye patch? And I was leaving the property one night, and it took forever to get it. Like they were on and off. They wanted to sell it, they didn't want to sell it. It was mortgaged to the hilt. It was like all this weird stuff. And there was this potential for like government involvement, but I was leaving the property and I see this huge wolf, and they're not supposed to be in the area. And it was just sitting in the middle of the road. And I remember I drove up to this wolf, and I mean, I got my car like 6 feet away from it, and it just wouldn't move. And it was just like looking over my hood at me, and it was missing an eye, and it just like freaky. And that's when I like had that come to Jesus moment, like, no, you got to go all in on this or not at all. Like, you just got to go all in on this no matter what. You got to get this place. So I slapped an eye patch on the wolf because it looked kind of crude to have the wolf there with like a big gaping hole. So anyway, that's where I got the imagery for it.
Business where people can come and try to experience Skinwalker Ranch.
Well, yes and no. It's closed to the public, but it's open to people who have like deputy chief scientists or people that have an actual basis to research. If they're people that really want to get to the bottom of what's going on, and they come to me and they have an actual plan of attack, and they're not just wahoo yahoos, and they don't want to just go out there and willy-nilly have a Burning Man experience. But if they're people that are actually in this particular, like quantum engineers, rocket scientists, neuroscientists, I've kind of, Space Wolf itself is kind of really, my focus is neurotheology, which is kind of like an emerging new scientific study which looks at how we compartmentalize experiences. And so what I find very interesting is if somebody sees a UFO, or if somebody sees what they believe is an alien, or if somebody sees what they believe is an angel or a demon, the brain will compartmentalize that in the exact same filing cabinet. And I think there's a reason for that.
We're wired for that, right? Like there's a part of us that doesn't want to know about this, or that even in some grand design, we're not supposed to be able to know about this, maybe.
100%. And it's one of these things that, are you willing to gain all the answers to the universe if you lose yourself? Because that's what you have. You have to
That's a
tap the brakes a
great
lot.
question. And that is like the what's they called, the dilemma for conspiracy theorists. It's the old saying, just know when you stare into the abyss stares right back into you. And like, how deep do you want to go? And what is that sacrifice when you go that deep?
Yeah, you never go full cappy, you know?
Yeah. You never want to go full cappy.
No.
Ever, ever. So I don't know if you were going to talk about this story, but when we talked recently, I brought up this story about the guy who thought he got attacked, or the group that got attacked by skinwalkers, dogmen. And do you know what story I'm talking about?
It's insane, dude.
Were
It's
you going to talk about it
insane.
later, or can you talk about it now? Because it's the craziest story.
Yeah, I'll hit it. I'll hit it. And I'm gonna really
Wait
quick.
till you hear
Like,
about this story, guys. It's
this is
so effing
madness.
nuts.
All right. So, this story goes back to the first caretaker that I had on the property, who was like this tough guy.
That's someone that just takes care of the ranch, right? Pretty much.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody that just stays there, takes care of it.
It's
Usually
literally
just
in the name, XG. It's
Well,
literally.
I
in the
don't know if
name.
he's got animals. I mean, it's just a ranch, though, right? He's just taking
Right.
care of the property.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids could have kids. I don't know. Caretaker. I don't know.
No, yeah, he's had a wife, had a kid, caretaker. He's just seemed it was a good gig for him. Didn't believe in any of this stuff, and I said, "Hey, man, I didn't either, but just be aware if things get weird, let me know." And he had been there a very short period of time. I had some technology taken out to the property, cameras and such, and long story short, he's out there one night. He had a friend over, thank goodness, and they're out on the front porch, and they see these three figures jump over one of the barbed wire fences, and they're just messing with all the new stuff that I had taken out there, the cameras, the devices, and they're just throwing them around.
Whoa.
And he's looking at his buddy like, oh man, I'm going to have to actually do some work, right? I'm going to have to caretake. And so his buddy grabbed a rifle out of his truck, and the caretaker grabbed like a huge, like elephant gun out of his place. And they started walking down the road towards these guys, yelling at them, and there's just zero response. Nothing, no response back at all. And they're yelling at them like, hey guys, you have to go, you know, giving them chances to get out of there. Zero response, just wreaking havoc. So they got down pretty close, and finally, they got the three's attention, and they kind of stood still, and they squared up on them with their rifles, and they're like, "You guys are obviously trespassing. You're gonna have to leave." And when they got a little closer, all three kind of sat down on their haunches like they were dogs. And at this point, the two were kind of freaked out, the caretaker and his buddy. And something happened where, as they approached, the one in the middle got, I guess, spooked, and they all jumped up and darted at them. And I guess these two guys just unloaded their weapons on these things, and with zero effect. And they claim they hit them multiple times. It was close proximity. They were near these things. And instead of dropping any of them, they finally just turned around and ran and jumped over the fence and into the woods. So he called me. I remember it was after midnight, and he called me and he's telling me this story. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh man, you got to quit shooting at things. Like, we're going to be sharing a cell. And that was one of the first experiences that he and I had with some of the high strangeness.
But the story gets even crazier if I'm correct, because this is crazy. It's your story because I saw this on a video. Someone was talking about it. So the things run off, right? And then the next day, three natives were found in their own homes, dead of gunshot wounds. And they found no guns anywhere, no nothing. They just had gone back to their houses and they had died of gunshot wounds.
Yep, I called on my drive up. I remember I packed the car that night and I started driving that night. It's an 8-hour drive from Vegas. And on the way, I called a number of legends in the field. I called Mr. Ryan Layton, Dr. True Watt, a very, very famous tracker that doesn't want his name out, and a couple other people. And I said, you guys, I need you. Can you meet me at the property? They did. They talked to these guys. They verified their stories. We went back. We saw the casings and everything. Their stories lined up. And three of them, I can't remember which. I know for sure it was True Watt and Ryan Layton. And I don't know.
We've had him on. He's great.
Yeah, he's great. They went around. They drove around to the other side to see what they could find, like the direction that these things were running. And they found something interesting, a scene of like wildlife, law enforcement, Bureau of Indian Affairs, regular police, the tribal fish and wildlife. So it was just like a menagerie of everything. And they were outside of a particular trailer, and he went up and he said, "Hey, can I ask you what happened?" And they said, "No, this is a closed crime scene. It's really weird." So he called somebody he knew that knew the sheriff and said, "Yeah, you can tell these guys what's going on, more or less." And what they said is it's unlike anything we've ever seen. They're dead. This one in particular, they found two others in other homes. And this one in particular, he's behind a locked door inside of a locked house with a gunshot wound. There's zero blood inside. And inside the house where he's at, the reason all the fish and wildlife and the tribal police and everybody's there is because there's an array of different pelts, and a lot of them are illegal and animal parts, and and it looks like they were into some sort of like witchcraft, like tribal
Oh
witchcraft.
my God. I cannot believe that. And I saw that story. I can't believe you were connected to it because I remember telling you that when we were
I saw
talking. You're
that
like,
too on just randomly on Twitter. Yeah.
I can't
Sure.
believe that. Holy shit.
No, can I ask you? Okay, so the implication here, it seemed there are two options, right? There's one that they are not actually, it would suggest not physically inhabiting those creatures, but it's almost like a matrix situation where if you die while you're inhabiting one of those creatures, whatever happens to them happens to you where you are. And then the other option is that they are, but they, struggled back to wherever they lived, wounded or whatever, and locked the door. What of those two do you think is most likely?
It's a catch 22. And this question really bothered me, Johnny, so I like delved into it pretty deep. And I started befriending uh, natives that friends connected me with who claimed that their family had one or more skinwalkers in the line, in the breed.
Okay.
Whoa.
And it got weird quick. And I became really close friends with a lot of these people. And I remember one particular night, I got a call, and this guy said, "Hey, my mom and my brother, as you know, are both skinwalkers."
Whoa. Imagine if
Damn.
your mom is a skinwalker. A
Yeah, he,
skinwalker
he
is a mom. Excuse me.
yeah, they're supposed to be some of the most powerful, the females. And he was like, he's the odd man out, right? And he said, for months, neither one would talk to me. But this particular night, he said, my mom said she'll finally talk to you if you come over. And so I went over, and I remember sitting on his front porch, and it was getting dark, and his mom was inside, and she wouldn't come out on the porch. And he said, "No, you're gonna have to go inside." He said, "But first, you're gonna have to eat one of these cookies." And I was like,
Oh
"What?
my
This
God.
is getting odd." And I was like, "Hey, I need to have answers." So I ate one of the cookies, and sure enough, things got weird after the cookie. And I went
Could have
in and
been
I
laced.
talked.
I would have been scared it's laced or something.
Oh, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was.
Well, now you're saying it got weird. Are you telling like psychedelic effects?
It was more or less just a heavy feeling, like this very strange. I'm sure that there was some like something along those lines, but there was more to it. It was just a heaviness, right? And I went in, and mom was sitting there, and I got to ask mom some questions. And I asked her exactly what you said, Johnny. Like, what are we dealing with here? Are you guys actually, when you shift, is it like Teen Wolf where, you're turning into this and you go out in the field? Or is it more like remote viewing where you're here and yet you can go over there?
Right.
And she said it depends on how adept you are. And if you are really good at it, you don't have to move. She said, I don't have to move from this chair. I can go anywhere I want.
Whoa.
And so, in summary, I guess it's kind of like a wide genre.
Whoa.
Fascinating.
Wow. It's almost like a video game in a weird way
Oh, it's
where
like
you're at
it's like
home
it's Game
playing.
of Thrones, dude. The warging when they would warg into a wolf or a
Or
person.
the crow. You remember the
Yeah.
The
crow?
crow, yeah, the wolf, and Bran could do it into
And
Hodor.
these guys were in different towns when they found them, which
That's
is
crazy.
important. Like
So so
they're
how
all
does
like
that
30
happen?
minutes or more away from each other.
So how do you think that happens though? Like oh okay.
That's what we're
So
just saying. It's like the Matrix, right? If it happens to you while you're in the Matrix,
okay, all right, all right, all right, all right, all
Now,
right.
by the same token, they did say that one of them had come up from the Four Corners area. He was a Navajo, and he was found in Duchesne. The other one was found in Roosevelt, and then the other one was found in Fort Duchesne. So, like I say, they were all around 30 minutes away from each other, more or less. And the one that came up from the four corners was kind of the ringleader, according to these people that we talked to. And he was kind of the one that had made this happen. And it's sort of like they're usually in threes, I found out. It's sort of like, it's kind of a special number and that there's some power in it. And I've seen them like out in the field as well. Like I've seen these strange rituals where I was told where to go, what to look for. And this particular time, it was like near a waterfall. There was a red rock ridge, and they would kind of meet at specific times at the base of this red rock ridge near this waterfall and make a little fire. And they would like lean in and out of the fire. And when they would lean in, the fire would grow like exponentially. And when they would lean out, it would go down. So they were like kind of in this mantra, like this. They were doing something. They weren't there. It felt like they weren't really there, kind of like to Johnny's point.
So, Ryan has a really great show and he does like clips on YouTube and he sent me this clip. Was it on YouTube or Instagram? You sent me the clip.
I can't remember. I think it
It
was
was one or
YouTube.
the other. It's probably
Yeah.
the links below. Um, of something you caught on camera. And a lot of people, one thing about Ryan is like he'll send it to people that will tell him it's nothing, right? Like you're not afraid of that. It's like if you, and that's my whole theory. If you really believe in something, you're not afraid to hear criticism of it. Like that's a big problem with like conspiracies. Like there's things they just don't want you talking about, and you're like, well, I mean, if you believe this narrative, you shouldn't be afraid to have it dissected by people that might find a fault in your argument. So Ryan sends it to a bunch of people. But Ryan, do you remember the video you sent to me? I was going to San Diego when you sent it to me. You remember it was like the coyote?
Yeah, yeah. It was
Do you
very
still have
interesting.
that by chance?
I
Is it
think,
this chupacabra video?
yeah, that's
Yeah, I
it.
have it right
Can
here.
you play it, Johnny?
Yeah, I got it right here.
And then Ryan, I don't know if you want to turn it down so we don't have Ryan talk, but Ryan can kind of take us through it on
Okay.
why
Yeah,
he
of
thinks it
course.
might be something else.
Just give me 1 second.
Ryan, this is all crazy, dude.
All
I
right.
think I live in a crazy world.
You
But
do.
for some reason I want to like be in that world too, even though I'm
How long?
scared.
How long could you kick it there in one of those
Uh,
ranches?
Listen,
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Matt Rife bought that haunted house, that occult museum, and I'm like, I don't want to go near that chick. I don't want to go near that doll. Oh, here it is. So Ryan, you want to take us through this? I don't want to.
Yeah, this was caught like 4 weeks ago, and like you said, I immediately sent it to a deputy chief scientist working for a number of projects and corporations and institutes under the Secretary of Defense, and he sent it off to a bunch of people, including guys at Berkeley. And they said, well, officially, this is what we're supposed to say, but this thing seems a little too skinny to be
Super
what.
skinny.
Yeah, it's very strange. They said the only thing we can think of is a coyote with mange, but it's got zero hair at all. Usually there's some hair.
Yeah.
There's absolutely none, and it seems more lightweight and skinnier than anyone we've ever seen that was still
Oh, there
alive.
it is. That's the picture. Like, look how clear that picture is.
It looks like one of those skinless cats.
Yeah.
Hairless cats. Those hairless
Totally.
cats.
So, for those listening, we're looking at a black and white security video of what appears to be a four-legged animal that doesn't really fit anything that we traditionally would see, whether it's a coyote, XG saying skinny cat, which totally looks like. And it's like, so what are your thoughts that it might be? Chupacabra?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I just know that like these cameras are silent, but it seems like it knows it's there. It looks at the
Mm.
camera a lot,
Yeah.
and I don't know how it would know that the camera is there. And it's hunting at night, which is not something that an animal this thin and close to death should be doing. And also, yeah, some anomalous lights appear around it, like in the background.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to ask you. There appear to be other eyes or something in the rear, huh? In the back.
Mhm.
It's very crazy.
Because
It's like,
Yeah, we
correct me
get
if
this
I'm wrong.
stuff
This
all
is
the time.
recorded with like IR light, right? So anything with
whoa, look at
reflective eyes.
that.
Oh yeah, that was what was that at the end there?
Yeah, I don't know. It's we get this stuff all the time. This was just within the last 4 weeks.
It's fascinating.
But yeah,
All right.
it's fun. It is fun.
Yeah.
Why do you think this area is so strange? What do you
Oh,
think that is?
it's huge. There's so many layers of what I like to call Murphy's Law going on. So traditionally, this area was already kind of predisposed to high strangeness. According to the indigenous tribes in the area, for 15 generations, it's been an area of high strangeness. And there was a time when the Navajo and Ute were both kind of just trying to survive, getting away from the cavalry. And one of the first uh, Buffalo Soldier encampments, which was in Fort Duchesne, Utah, convinced the Utes to basically sell out a tribe that was in the San Luis Valley of Colorado, nearby, just over the border.
Whoa.
And according to that Navajo tribe, that this was like unforgivable, is what they called it, because they were way out in the middle of nowhere. They weren't bothering anybody. They finally found a place where they were safe, and they got sold out. And so they
To who
gathered.
they saw it? The Americans, the government?
Yeah, the government was just trying to clear or basically round up the natives and put them in these what they would call forts, but they were really open air prisons. I mean, let's call them what they were. They were literally they would say, "Oh, you get to go to Fort Duchesne," like it was a nice thing, but it wasn't. It was just a place where they would feed them and keep them penned up and from bothering, the pioneers, etc. The local ranchers, whatever. And it was an ugly time in U.S. history. But the Navajos said this was unforgivable. They gathered up their most powerful shaman and witches, and they unleashed what they called the curse of the Skinwalker, which
Whoa.
this had never been done before, ever in the history of the Dene, in the history of the Navajo. This had never happened. And they said this time it's happening. And they basically unleashed this entity to curse the land where the Ute were, which is exactly the area we're talking about.
The curse of Skinwalker. These native curses, we've had guests on before talking about how the Wizard of Oz has a Native American curse on it because the author of the book that the movie is based on hated Native Americans, hated them, wanted them basically genocided. And the natives, took umbrage with that, obviously, got upset, and they put a giant curse on it, which, fast forward, anytime you see like something Wizard of Oz that has negative connotations to it, there's a lot of things cursed on that set. And, when we had the same guy came on, talked about Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bryant's last Halloween costume with his family was the Wizard of Oz. And then he dies shortly after that. And it's like the curse of all that stuff. And then, we haven't dropped the episode as of this recording, but it's the next episode to come out about all the occult and Mormons. And the Mormons are in the real, at the essence of it, their religion is Kabbalah, the Kabbalah, Jewish magic, and how all that stuff, like all of John Smith's family, were into mysticism and stuff like that. So Utah, which was originally Mexico, has a lot of occult energy in it, dark energy, and all that stuff. So this lines up right with it. Damn, dude, that shit's crazy. That's so.
Tons. It when when this first outpost of Buffalo soldiers arrived in the area, and this was kind of like where they sent them, and a lot of these were literally African slaves that were granted their freedom as long as they would do this harsh undertaking. And the majority of them
What do you mean by harsh undertakings?
basically rounding up the indigenous and putting them in these concentration camps that they would call forts, these open air prisons. And these slaves that were granted their freedom as long as they joined the cavalry were almost entirely Prince Hall Masons. So they not only had the magic prowess of being from the Caribbean and the voodoo and all of that. A lot of them were from that area, but they also had the Freemasonry aspect to it. And so there were curses all over the place. There were curses going from the Buffalo Soldiers to the indigenous, and there was curses from the indigenous towards the Buffalo Soldiers, and curses from. I mean, it was so. This was just this is just the groundwork to why this area is so strange. But there's like 10x, I mean 100x. It keeps getting weirder and weirder as generations pass. More and more weird things keep happening in these areas. They've done all kinds of stuff like dam up water in very porous sandstone areas, and this has caused all kinds of strange movement underground. Caverns have filled with water. They've put in massive power lines directly overhead where this water didn't used to be and now it is. And so the whole area is charged, and there's a bunch more. But yeah, like you said, Sam, the area is just wild. It's just wild.
Now, you gave me a list of talking points. We're kind of jumping from four, but the occult in Utah, Bisbee, and why magicians are moving there. What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah. So this is a strange thing. It is sort of like Sedona in the 70s, is
Yes.
where I would say we're at now in the Uintah Basin, where word has gotten out. People know it has these attributes. And when that happens, you get the fringe of society, the more eccentric folks kind of go out there and start putting down roots. And this is sort of what's happened. It's kind of like Sedona in the 70s.
There's just a lot of just all sorts of occults coming out there, not just necessarily Native American, but like even into the like kind of the darker stuff that maybe we're starting to see, we're starting to come to light in Hollywood and all that stuff and cults. And I mean, again, going back to the Mormon stuff, like the stuff, the cults that have been in Mormonism are just insane.
That you'll get a perfect example. I mean, I see things now that I didn't used to see. Like people will just show up, they'll buy a property nearby, they'll just show up and start living in their van on the property. Or and yeah, like, setting out Tibetan prayer flags, and you're hearing bongos at night. And I've had government guys that have come out, and they're literally trying to get funding from the CIA or DARPA or Bigelow Consciousness Studies or the Monroe Institute. You get a number of different individuals that are coming out doing their own eccentric form of research or investigation and trying to get on the map as far as, getting funding from and there's lots of funding, believe it or not, guys, that comes out of the government that looking into this, like we were
The world's
talking
ran
about.
by sorcerers, dude. Of course. It's all
Yeah.
sorcery. I mean, these motherfuckers, they like all these huge content creators still talking about money, power, and oil. Like that is just a smoke screen to what they're really about, man. Dark arts. It's
100%. And that's why I say my favorite guys are like the government guys that are just like tasked with some of this stuff, because we're in agreement. They're like, oh, we're in a weird place. This is weird. Like, okay. But yeah, they're not about it. And I think that's why those are my favorite guys, because they are in positions where this is their job. And it's kind of fun to talk to guys like that. And it's funny because this is like a thing there's this new thing called interference syndrome where hundreds of cases are being investigated by the government. The government's done this for so long, put people in these types of scenarios, locations of high strangeness, either as security.
Yeah, so the government's really interested in this area, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like at the point where they now are doing research, believe it or not, on how to classify some of the detrimental factors, mostly brain injuries, for their employees who have been in these areas for long periods of time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So these agents are going in and getting wrecked?
Wrecked. I was speaking with CIA agent Mike Baker, and he was telling me, I can't list the names, but there's hundreds of people. He knew people. They're calling it interference syndrome. And there were some
Sorry to interrupt. What is it like the Havana syndrome?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yep, that's the closest thing that they can find to it. When you're in an area of high strangeness for an extended period of time, your brain basically turns to Swiss cheese.
Oh my God. Now I'm not moving there.
I'm totally. And this is a good point. Like, I was supposed to have people out there for a conference next week called the Moon Lake Gathering. And I had to cancel because the levels of electromagnetic frequency and radiation and stuff went too high. And they're so high that I had some guys say, you can't have people out here safely. And I had to cancel it. And I mean, it was a total buzzkill. Everybody was wanting to go. So it's something very real.
Man, people get into real estate to buy, apartment complexes to charge rent. You're buying real estate to run like paranormal expos and shit like that, huh? You're so smart, dude.
No, I'm not.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that even these government agents are just getting just shish kebabbed.
No,
Yeah,
like you guys said, imagine signing up to the FBI for like normal FBI work, and you end up at Skinwalker Ranch.
100%. I there's so many guys that start off like researching lava tubes for like Mars exploration, and next thing you know, they're out there in the Uintah Basin looking for aliens, and it's like, what? How do these connect? And uh, these scans recently leaked. So this is strange. Like a lot of people have found out that like the people have been doxxed who have these problems, what they call interference syndrome.
And
And
what is that?
so it started in back in like the late 60s, they called it UFO disease. And it was people that were in close proximity to a lot of flying craft, flying saucers, high strangeness. They started acting different. And now they call it interference syndrome. And the reason it got that name is really weird. Have you ever seen somebody that can like walk underneath a street light and it turns on and off?
I
Yes.
haven't seen that, but I've heard about that. Johnny, you've seen that?
Yeah, it's a phenomenon.
Yep.
I did it one time. And
Yeah,
like,
that counts.
Whoa,
but I
Johnny's
don't.
an
I think it was just a
imposter.
coincidence. I just think it was a coincidence.
Take your wins. Take your wins.
Take your wins,
But
Johnny.
but I've read about it pretty extensively.
I'm psychic. You're Skinwalker.
It's a
Yeah.
thing.
So,
It's a
so
thing
that's
people
where
do.
it
Yeah.
kind of got its name because they realized that these people that are in these areas of high strangeness enough, or they have close proximity to, believe it or not, even rocket scientists that are working on exotic propulsion systems get this stuff. Or if they're working with quantum engineering or quantum physics or particle colliders, a lot of these kind of fringish science positions will get this stuff. And what they're finding is they just have dead spots on their brains. A bunch of scans
Whoa.
were, yeah, it's like Swiss cheese, but yet they get like a download. Their IQ actually goes up instead of down.
Could it be anything with the radiation?
It has a lot to do with radiation. The Department of Energy is all over it. And a lot of people have been tasked, people like Gary Nolan, Dr. Kit Green, a number of others, with basically getting ICD 10 codes for insurance companies to be able to take care of the people that have been in these areas of high strangeness for a long time.
When you say radiation, is it what we're traditional believe is radiation, like nuclear bombs and stuff like that? Are you just talking like a thick, dense energy that kind of just like you marinated it?
It's weird. That's such a good question, Sam. It's a little bit of both, but it's transient. So the findings are weird because it would be you almost have to have a Geiger counter, a lightning strike detector, and a trifield meter with you at all times, which we try to do, because you'll get transient spikes of this energy. And it can literally be there one moment and gone the next, or like the case I just told you where we had this huge reading and it's not going away and we had to cancel having people out at the property to skywatch. So it just you have to be able to test it and make sure that it is going away if you're in the area.
Do you find yourself having to drive out nightly to test it?
No, we've put in some stuff that you well, we have people that go out to the property, and there's some equipment that we keep out there all the time. So it's kind of interesting because the whole area has this from time to time, but when it's really a big spike like that, you don't want to be out there. And like my wife won't let me take my kids out there unless I can like double check and verify that everything's fine.
That is so crazy. And how far away is Skinwalker from like Salt Lake City?
It's a couple hours.
Yeah, see, the farther you get away from the big city, the more high strangeness you see. I feel like the electromagnetic energy of a big city, like you know, we talk all the time, and I'm always talking about how, like, yeah, I don't do a manual labor job, but I'm around all of this energy all the time, and this stuff zaps you. It's dirty electricity. And, we've heard like Native American elders talk about how they can't astral project anymore because there's so much dirty electricity in the atmosphere. It messes with their ability to do that. So, but when you get out into the middle of like nowhere, like Skinwalker, what's the biggest city next to it?
I'd say the closest cities are Roosevelt and Vernal.
And how,
Roosevelt's probably the closest.
and how big are they?
They're not, Vernal's the bigger one. It's an hour away. Roosevelt's about a little under a half an hour. There is a town called Fort Duchesne where this fort was, and it
Oh,
still
it's got to
is.
be cursed, huh?
Yeah, it still is a Native American reservation. And they've had, man, they've had some amazing sightings. I think I might have sent you guys a video of one going right over Fort Duchesne near Bottle Hollow Reservoir. Like these things just fly through the air. They look like,
Oh, is it the one that says, no, that's the chupacabra from 4 weeks ago.
Is it
Can
the
you,
UAP this morning? Is that it?
oh no, that
UFO disappears.
there it is. That's it.
Okay. All
UFO
right. Hold on.
disappears. Yeah, that's right over Fort Duchesne. That's right over a town. And you'll have these things that fly over. They're just like glowing plasma, low level, and then they'll disappear behind something like a tree or a fence post or anything they can. Yeah, there you go. That's right over Fort Duchesne.
yeah, that is weird, dude. That is so weird.
Yeah, all those little lights you see there are houses right there.
Whoa.
How fast do you think that's going, if you had to estimate?
Man, I honestly don't know XG, but it's and
Do you
you see
think
how
it's a ball? Oh, and just
it just
disappeared.
Gone.
disappears behind a tree. So it has a lot to do with the observer. If wherever you're witnessing it from, and we find this if we whenever we do experiments, we'll triangulate. We'll put three people, three researchers, basically in a triangle formation, and if we see something, everybody sees something different. And it is all about the observer. Whatever this precognitive sentient intelligence is, the some of the brightest minds that the government has some crazy theories about it. Like they think it could be like AI, that aliens thousands of years ago came to visit and they left these beacons of AI in the earth, and that this is waiting to, it's basically waiting for its master to come back and like pick it up or grab it. Others believe that it's more relatable to like the Native American curses, or it's always been there. And then there's like one of the more fascinating is that we had visitors from somewhere else, and it was, at a time when we had a lot more alpha predators out there, like saber-toothed tigers, dinosaurs, whatever, and that these visitors were just taken out by like our organic
Saber-tooth
badass,
just eating grays and shit.
yeah, like eating grays, and they weren't expecting it, and that some of their technology just basically got covered up in dirt. So there's all kinds of great theories, and there are people smarter than myself that are coming up with them, but it's really interesting.
What are your thoughts on the aliens versus demons and angels take?
This is a really big one for me because a lot of the stuff that, okay, I'll break it down into an experience I had with a recent experiment. We set out a number of these little devices in the shape of the flower of life, so sacred geometry, and we powered them up. These are little Raspberry Pi computer controlled devices. We fired them up, and we immediately captured what looked like dodecahedrons flying through the air in different colors, blue and green. And the dodecahedron is sort of like a 72 faceted, so it's got 72 sides, 72 facets. It's like a 3D version, or a 5D version, I guess I should say, of the flower of life. And if you remember, I think if you go right down the middle of the Talmud and the middle sentence, it talks about the 72 names of God, right? And then if you go to, for example, the Star of David, if you enhance that, it turns into a tetrahedron and then a dodecahedron until it gets to 72 facets. Or if you look into Solomon, of course, he imprisoned 72 principalities. So I think it's sort of like this universal consciousness can manifest itself in one of 72 different ways at any given moment. And whatever we see it as, we'll say, oh, that's an alien, or that's a demon, or that's whatever. And in reality, the issue is it could just be one of the facets that is fractally coming off of the universal consciousness, and it shows itself to us that way. But what it really is, who knows? Because a demon's not going to tell you it's a demon.
The Paranoid American and the One on One, they have talked about, depending on your religious beliefs, depending on how you see the world is how you see these things, right? Like atheists will see them as aliens. Religious people will see them as angels and demons. And it just goes on and on. I forget who sees Bigfoot, but cryptids. Like each one is based on how you see the world.
Or it's that thing where like sorry to interrupt you, but it's that thing when you get abducted, now you think it's an alien, but people back then used to think it was Jesus. Oh, Jesus came to
Or
come get me.
angels and
Or
stuff
angels,
like that.
Same with
Yeah.
possessions, right? Well, here's a video that you shared with us also that's pretty fascinating. What do we got? What is this thing?
Whoa, what is that?
Yeah, that was just middle of the day, Uintah Basin type thing you just see sometimes.
Whoa, listen to me, dude. So when we started going on tour
So strange.
with the tinfoil hat, play that again and then stop it when we really see it, Johnny. Like right there, stop it. So when it won't stop.
No, I'm
Can't
trying to get
stop.
it in focus. It was out of focus on my head.
Okay, there it is.
All right.
So when we first went on tour with the tinfoil hat, and this is very funny because this is officially the last time I ever had a drink of alcohol. It was you remember this, Xavier.
I remember that.
It was Sacramento. This is how crazy this night was. It was Sacramento. We had done two shows in a row. I think we did
Hmm.
Fresno to Sacramento, right?
Yes, yes, yeah, yep.
The first night in Fresno, the PG&E showed up at our shows.
Right before the fires, guys. Right before
No,
the
right
fires.
after the
What?
Oh, right
fire. It
after.
was
Real, my
after
bad.
the
You're right. Right after.
fires.
Right after. Yeah.
These all these guys that work for PG&E were like, "Yeah, man, we work for PG&E." I was like, "Oh, that's super creepy because we've been talking about these paradise fires all the time." Next night we go to Sacramento. This gorgeous blonde with a fat rack shows up and she's like, "Yeah, I work at PG&E too." Like back-to-back shows, dude. Back-to-back shows show up. But the reason this night is super interesting is because I'm sitting outside either before the show or after the show. I'm trying to remember. And this chick from Paradise comes up to me, and I've met her mom. Her mom is coming to my shows later on. And she said that she was there before the fire started. And then suddenly, this long silver thing in the sky shows up, and it just gets really still. And then these lights kind of go back and forth slowly, slowly, slowly. And then they kind of go, the lights go zoop. And then a burst of light happens. And then everything was on fire. She said, all at one time. And she described it and it looked exactly like this.
That's crazy.
Right? Exact. She said it looked like a silver cigar in the sky.
That's insane. You know what's weird? My wife recently went camping with my kids and found this beautiful camp spot.
Whoa. That's
And
crazy.
I went out to visit to meet up with them. I was going to spend the night with them. They had gone out, rented an RV. She'd never done this before. She's driving this big RV down the road. They find this perfect place to camp. And I'm like, "Hey, no worries, hun. I can get there and meet up with you guys." And so I'm driving out there and I just see like smoke everywhere. And I'm like, "Hey, where you're sending me looks like there's a massive forest fire." And she's like, "Oh, I don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about." So anyway, I show up and yeah, they're evacuating this campground. It was Pine Valley in Utah. And I show up and I went in there and I'm like telling the campers they have to go. And I told my wife, you got to load up the dog and the kids. You got to get out of here. And they were just settling down for the night. And she had no idea that there was a fire. Nobody did. But you know what all the campers told me is we just saw something in the sky. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's crazy, Sam. That's the same thing they told me.
Because everybody like and it's so funny how they try to control the narrative. So now the narrative is pew 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 these direct energy weapons. Pew pew pew, right? Like that's what they want us to believe. And we've had Jim Lee on our show before talking about how they're like way past that. Like they're manipulating weather through high and low systems, pressure systems. And now you got like the cigar thing in the sky. She didn't say it was, she didn't get into the details of its shape. That looked a little bit more bent, but, or like curved, but still looks like a giant cigar in the sky. And how that light just went off and suddenly there were fires everywhere. And how that stuff, this is the debate on the show on why the buildings are gone and the trees are still there.
Yeah, that's weird. That's
It
weird.
is weird, and we get into talk about like moisture in the trees and why the trees might be there, but the buildings are gone. And but I'm going, but you're telling me it's a drought. Like, which one is it?
Yeah, if the trees didn't have water in them, they'd be dead.
Yeah,
Well,
but the fire started because of a drought, is what they said.
yeah, that's they always
The
blame it
branches
on
and
the,
stuff are
the
dry,
climate
but-
change.
Well, it
Johnny's
is,
a resident skeptic of everything,
well, no, not of every. You
of
want, but
everything,
I'm not. But
all the
I
time.
mean, it's also they didn't clear the underbrush for. I mean, they turned it into a powder keg by not clearing the underbrush and doing controlled burns and that kind of thing. That's why they're getting sued, because partly because it's their responsibility to maintain that area. And
Well, I've lived in California long enough. I've seen what drought-stricken areas look like, and there's no green. It's all brown. And I've seen it,
yeah, the grass and stuff, yeah, for sure.
the grass and the trees aren't doing well. So I've seen drought. Like four or
Yeah,
five summers ago, they're like California having horrible drought. And you just look around and it was all brown.
yeah. And
And
then in
so,
like one, remember when then in 1 week we just got like a year's worth of rain and it was just gone like that. It's crazy.
yeah.
Hey Ryan, I got a question for you. What do you think about the Bloodsoe family? Do you think that has anything to do? How is that anything like Skinwalker Ranch? You think that's a whole different thing?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Ryan Bledsoe.
We
I
love
haven't been
them.
out to their property, but I've had friends that have gone out there. I think it's all relatable, and there's strange. Speaking of the fires, I mean they had a bush literally catch on fire in their backyard. With people there, that happened, and I've had 40-foot RVs just get vaporized in the middle of the
What?
day. I mean, just
Whoa.
molten metal and nothing left of it,
That's
and
easy.
you wonder, like, is this just a lot of energy in one spot, or is there something bigger going on? And your hat is insane, XG. That's
Oh,
dopest hat.
oh,
Did you
thank
make
you.
Mhm.
that hat?
Huh?
Did you
It's
make
just I
that?
just made one. I mean, I can make more. Should we make more? Should we make more? Sam, put them on tinfoil hat.
NPC. Yeah,
So
that's
cool.
hilarious.
I like that
That
too.
is hilarious. Um, I know you said you saw the one-eyed wolf. Are there any other weird things? Now I just want to go out there and just stare and then run for my life.
Man, you name weird is like it's just all weird. Whatever you least expect can happen. Uh we had a couple of bulldozers, backhoes, I guess technically out there digging recently. And the stuff that is found, I mean, you'll find all kinds of animal parts. Oh, and that's another thing. Not just under the ground. You'll have like bloody legs, paws, uh, animal parts just fall out of the sky into the
What?
ground. Yeah, I
Whoa.
swear, Sam, I swear. You'll just have bloody, warm to the touch, like a deer leg, or you know, different animals fall out of the sky, parts to them just fall out of the sky. And you'll walk somewhere, you'll turn around, you'll walk back, and it's right there, and it wasn't there a second before.
Oh my
This is
God. You got pterodactyls, dude.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's the
doubt that
craziest
shit.
thing, man. I don't know where they come from. Some people call them apports. I have no
What
idea,
is
but
an apport?
it's a great party trick. Um, an apport, I guess I could be butchering this, but it's like basically something just manifesting out of nothing and falling in an area. Coins. I recently, funny story. I recently took up a buddy of mine from Vegas. We went up fly fishing, and on the way, he's a big time CPA in Vegas, and he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. And on the way, like as we're driving, I'm like, hey man, just so you know, remember I told you we could like crash out at my ranch on the way up? And he's like, yeah, that's perfect. And I'm like, well, let me just so you know, let me give you a little heads up. Things sometimes get a little weird. He's like, I don't believe in any of that. Don't worry about it. So we get up there, and almost immediately there's just like a light show in the sky. And the guy is just like mesmerized, like, what is going on? He's all freaking out. And then later at night, we're asleep, and we hear this like motorcycle that like literally is on the property. And there's like these two chicks in leather, like dominatrix dressed,
I'm listening.
with like lasers and like devices. And he wakes me up, and he's like, Ryan, what the heck's going on out there? And I'm like, I told you it can get weird. And the guy's losing his mind. And he's like, I'm going out there. And I'm like, I wouldn't. and he goes out there. I remember this conversation was hilarious. He goes out there up to these two chicks dressed in leather. They look like Tomb Raider. And he goes up to him and he's like, "What are you doing out here? We're trying to sleep." And I remember they said, "Sir, we're working." And he just came back inside. And he's like, "This place is so messed up."
Some large Marge shit. They're gonna pull off the mask and it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
he was like
nuts, dude.
he was like, "Ryan, either you just spent like tens of millions of dollars to entertain me, or there's something weird about this place." And I'm like,
Do you still
it,
talk to this guy? I wonder if he went
yeah,
any deeper. And he's like, bro, I've been looking at this shit. What's up with
Right.
those missing Russian hikers and shit?
What about cattle? What is it? Cattle mutilation or whatever? Do you find any of that? You said there's missing animal parts. Any of that? Any like where you know how they have like the perfect cuts, no blood missing, all that? That's also found there too.
yeah, yeah. We just got a major cattle operation just contacted me this month to investigate its third mutilation.
You're
And
basically Ghostbusters. People call you up with yeah, hello, Ghostbusters. And you're just like, and you have to go solve crimes in the paranormal.
yeah, it, it's crazy. But yeah, everything XG said. They have usually sexual organs are gone, eyes, tongues, the rear end, and it's usually cauterized and very strange little things like they'll cut the ear with the tag on it and put it somewhere almost like a placeholder. But yeah, this was the third one. This is a huge ranch. They manage over 48,000 acres. And the owner contacted a friend of mine who then contacted me to go out and investigate the third one they've had this happen to. And what's really crazy about this one that just happened, XG, is this guy saw trapezoidal figures. One of them had horns near the area, and he said that he's worried that there might be something more. He had law enforcement come out and investigate, and the law enforcement thought that it was like a satanic cult or something like that out of a nearby area. But I don't know. I actually next week I have to go and bag this thing up and put it in cold storage, what's left of it. So life is weird.
You really are. Dude, you live such an interesting life. You got to go bag up some violated cows.
Yeah, I got to bag it up and put it in cold storage.
For what? For evidence for future, just in case? Or what? Wouldn't you just burn it? Wouldn't you just
So
get rid of it?
it's funny because the people I reached out with are like, "Oh, we're all over it, but we can't come now." So you've got to put it in cold storage. We'll get to it in a few weeks. And so I literally have to go in the middle of nowhere, bag this thing up, and then take it and put it in cold storage, and then we'll see where it.
You should record that, just that alone. Just you
It's a good
showing up
idea.
to this fucking cow that has no blood on it, record it, upload it. I think it would, dude, that's insane. That's a
That's a good idea. I never thought of that.
That's
XG.
a fun life, dude. It's a lot more interesting than anybody else's. I'll tell you that right now. It's so insane, dude. So I have this theory that the old gods that may have been wiped out or sent into hiding during the flood, right? The big flood. I feel like they want to come out and play. I feel that they've been in the shadows long enough that it's time. They're like, I got enough of this. And that's why you're seeing all this satanic shit in Hollywood way more than it used to be. Like we used to listen to rock, be like, yeah, shout out the devil. Yeah, fuck you, mom and dad. I'm gonna live my life. And then you just start to realize that like how dark that shit was and what we were yelling at the time. And now it's like so blatant. Like they're trying to make kids shows about Lucifer. They're trying to make all this stuff. What are your thoughts on like why we're seeing this uptick in all this craziness?
I think you're onto something, and I think the old gods, whatever you want to call them, people have been seeing this stuff since the beginning of time, but they just describe it differently, right? And it's funny that recently I came across. Have you guys heard of Shambhala?
No.
Okay, so Shambhala is allegedly this mythical paradise in Tibetan Buddhist tradition, and they basically say it's like a semi spiritual or ethereal versus like a physical location, and there's all these writings in Tibet about it. And interestingly enough, one of the places that they claim Shambhala is or has been is right here in the shapeshifter territory in the Uintah Basin of Utah, like right
What?
smack, yeah, right
That's
smack
interesting.
dab, same exact spot, written, a long time ago, and they're like, this is one of the spots, and I thought this is so weird.
That's funny. The only Shambhala I know is that Three Dog Night song. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
Shambhala.
Sing it, Johnny.
No, I'm not going to sing it.
Come
Oh,
on,
Come on.
please, Johnny. You
my,
got a great
my phone's
voice.
about to go. Look at this. My
You
camera
got a
died.
great voice, Johnny. We would
Oh
love to
man,
hear
you
you
guys
sing
missed it, guys.
Shambhala.
It was
No chance.
Shambhala. Is
All
that
those
It was a
song?
big song, though. It was a big
all
song.
those concerts you go to, Johnny, and you don't have a voice.
Johnny, is that a Shambhala?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it, Sam. That's it.
But that also lines up with we've had Dr. Narco Longo on, and, I've seen him like getting in weird debates with other content creators. I enjoy his research. Um, he's talked about how like uh the Garden of Eden might be here. Um, Islam was started in Mexico. The United States is old Egypt, based on, stuff in the Grand Canyon and other things. These giant anchors that they're found in Florida that make no fucking sense on where they are, why they would be there. So what you bring up is like, let's face it, America is special. That's why there's this kind of war that you don't see anywhere else on us culturally. Maybe, like I'm not saying that they don't have like propaganda. I mean, I was on a show with somebody and with a woman who had just moved to Russia. She was so over the United States. I'm like, have fun. Um, and I said that America is as propagandized as the North Koreans, and she kind of scoffed at that. But I really do believe it. I really do believe that we are just saturated in propaganda. It gets into a debate Johnny and I had about how Islam treats women, how
I mean,
the
they don't
West
even
treat.
get any. I mean, we get disinfo, they get zero info. I mean, the only thing I don't know about that.
Oh, they get that like Kim Jong Un just shot 18 on an 18-hole
I mean,
golf
yeah.
course, and they're
And
like,
they
"Oh
get
my
like one
God,
channel,
one
with
shot
just
each thing," So
all state media. There aren't any independent journalists working in North Korea. You know what I mean?
100%. So they're propagandized one way and we're propagandized the other way with like this is our democracy is the best democracy as Palantir's coming in, and you have to get a vaccine and you have no choice in that, at least in some states. And that, and the more and more I start thinking about like there's something very special about America, and the amount of anti-American propaganda that is pushed on us from the elites makes me wonder what they're trying to hide.
yeah. You're 100% right, Sam. I was just reading about the haplogroup X gene, haplo X group, which is basically, we're taught that the Aztecs were in Mexico. But what they're finding out is that the Aztecs actually started in Utah and moved down to Mexico.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
They were like, forget this weather. We're going down to where it's nice. And they're
Oh,
actually, at first, it started out like a crazy theory, but like they're proving it. Like the Aztecs were actually up in the high deserts of Utah. And you run into this all the
is
time with
is
like
that
the
what the
giant.
theory? Is that behind the theory with the Bering Strait?
It might be. I mean, a lot of these are connected. The like the Lovelock Cave and the giants that they found in various caves. I mean, indigenous cultures have talked about the Ka and like all these things that we now call like, oh, this is crazy. I mean, basically describing things like the Kandahar giant, right? For like,
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
I mean, and there's proof. We're finding proof of it. I just talked to a guy named Dan Dillman and a couple other guys, and they found a body in Utah. Of all people, it was a UK hiker, and he was just hiking along. He finds this body. It makes the news, but then they realize that the body's like too big. Like it's too big. Like it's giant. And it's turned in like a whole thing. But we see this over and over again throughout time. And back in the day, I liked that the tribal elders would just say, "Yeah, we found a giant." They wouldn't sugarcoat it. Now it's like everything gets brushed under the rug, and it's kind of like hidden from us.
And again, it just like they corral us into these big cities where you can't see any of that. And like we just get sold on big city life. But what's really out there? I mean,
Sam,
oh,
I'll tell you. Like you were asking, what kinds of things have been found, and I'm not lying. Shells the size of a truck hood, like seashells the size of the hood of a vehicle.
whoa.
Yeah, just right around Space Wolf research there. So it's it's insane. These are things that, I mean, when I we know that the land has changed, the world has changed. Water used to cover a lot of it, but what kind of an animal, even if it's just, you know, a clam or something, to be that big is insane. Just imagine what else was around back then.
Yeah. I mean, and I think when we think of the world, we think it's small, but it's really big. And then you get into, is there more territory as you go farther out, whatever that discussion is. And like with the with the tree with these giant tree stumps that look like mountains, but they also look like tree trunks. And we're like, oh, that's too big to be a tree. And you're like, is it? I mean, depending on how big the world actually was and what that might have what that tree could have represented at some point. Like, dude, the world could have been completely different way back in the day. Like giants. I mean, and when we get into fallen angels, everybody starts thinking that's only Christian. Well, the Vedics talked about it, and the Hindus talk about it. They talk about entities being trapped down here by God. And then you get into demiurge stuff. It's all so crazy, right? I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The world is basically every movie you've ever seen all happening at one time. Are there dragons? I don't know. Still, possibly. I mean, we don't have this world totally under surveillance right now. And even if they did, would they ever show us? Would Elon Musk, Starlink just found a dragon, and then they'll show it to us? I doubt they'll even do that because that brings up mysticism, and they want mysticism for us and just NPCs. They want mysticism for them and NPCs for us.
Yeah, yeah. They have the good parties, the eyes wide shut parties, and they want us at like the church socials.
Yep. Yeah, they're doing all the mysticism activities, and then they're just trying to get us to just think that we're viruses on a rock hurling through space, you know? And they want our kids dumb, and they want their kids to know all the ancient knowledge.
Yeah, man. Like we were invited. This is funny. I had a few researchers up, and there was a new guy in the area, and he's like, "Come over to the property and say hi and hang out. We'll vibe." And we went over, and this was a government guy that worked for. He was a government employee, and we show up and he's, the vibe is strange, but we're kind of like rolling with it. And pretty soon as the night goes on, like there's this like altar that's kind of also like a pedestal, and he's got like a microphone, and he hands me some stuff to read, and I'm like reading something, and everybody's having a good time still. And then next thing you know, there's like I kid you not, Sam, I kid you not. The guy brings out like there's like a skull, like a human skull, and he takes the top off and pours red fluid in it, and he's passing it around to people. And it was like very surely, slowly but surely, the night got so weird that I was like, what are we doing here? Like, we need to get the heck out of here, man.
Dude,
But
your
yeah,
parties are crazier than our parties.
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought my Coke parties were nuts. You're drinking out of skulls, dude. And is it like just a bunch of hippie chicks out there? Do you ever see weird witches and stuff?
yeah. I've seen, yeah, interesting naked chicks around big bonfires, and one guy hanging from hooks out of a tree over
Ooh.
a fire. Like it can get really weird at night.
Whoa, bro. I'm like, okay, this isn't my party.
I know one.
I,
I have a. I mean, I don't know how much of a friend he is, but I know a guy who hangs like that for spiritual stuff. He says
oh,
yeah, and he hanging
Yeah.
from trees back and forth, and
what
it's
do you mean
crazy.
by hanging?
Hanging by hooks that go into his
Oh,
knees and his back,
God.
and they think it's spiritual, and females do it to release. I don't know. But I can have him on. It's to him, it's spiritual. I don't know if I've seen the video. It's crazy. I'm sure the guy sees the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, this was a spiritual vision quest, is what they claimed.
Yeah.
Maybe
They're
through pain you can see stuff. That's
all
how
it
I
does
feel.
is show you how strong the human body is. They're hanging
Or the
from their
spirit
skin,
is that they can go
or
through that.
yeah, or their spirit. Yeah, it's
Oh
insane.
my God, that's so crazy. Ryan, this has been great, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you. And one more time, tell them where they can find you.
You bet. Hero Paranormal on YouTube, or heroparanormal.com, or spacewolfresearch.com, or you can find those both on social media.
Well, Ryan, I love you. You're a big part of my life, so I appreciate you spending some time with me. I always love our conversations with our friends. So thanks for coming on. Let's break down the episode. All right, guys. What'd you think of my boy Ryan Burns?
I don't know. Think I'm willing to risk a little bit of my health to go to Skinwalker Ranch.
You got
Just a
bad
little
knees, dude. Can you run fast enough?
I don't know how many more holes in your brain can you stand.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we're barely functioning here right now.
After all the druggies,
If it wasn't for the microdosing, we might be in trouble.
your brain is just one big hole as it is.
But Johnny wants to go. I mean,
He's
Johnny
got the
wants-
brain for it. He's got the brain for it.
I am. I mean, when you hear that shit, how could you not be?
Johnny, what if we show up with tinfoil hats on our head?
Hey, some people say that really. I mean, that's how the tempo hat thing started. 'Cause
Yeah, let's go to
supposed to work.
Let's go to Skinwalker with little tinfoil hat helmets, like space helmets, and we'll just walk around and look at stuff.
We'll just put it inside of our baseball hats. Nobody will notice. We all wear baseball hats.
I wish I would ask Ryan when he saw the one-eyed wolf, did he just sit there? Like, I wouldn't know what to do, because if you hit in reverse, does it chase you?
I don't know.
Or do you just sit there and shit your pants?
Oh, remember on Broken Sim, we had that girl call that time and said they got chased by something like that?
Yeah.
Remember that? And she said then they drove in their car away from it, and it was like keeping up with them. So yeah, that's.
I don't know what to do.
I heard when I chase the one-eyed wolf, it's something completely different.
What are you talking about? Vagina?
No, Sam.
A
Okay.
hairy vagina, one-eyed wolf.
Johnny's getting that 80s bush. That's how he
Guys,
goes.
you
That's
guys
his
gotta-
paranormal hunting.
You don't know. You can't. That's to explain it is crude, boys.
No,
gotta-
we love when magicians tell us how to do their
We don't like
magic.
working
So
blue
if
on
you
this
break
show.
down your joke right there. We really love it. It'd be great. I don't know, dude. That stuff scares me. I do want to go buy
Yes.
property out there, though. I do want to own a little piece, hang out in the van, just a big. So when
You
I
hanging
went,
out in the van? Yeah, come on, dude. You're not hanging out in the van.
dude, my dream is to eventually just travel around in an RV.
with nowhere to take a dump.
Well, that's
like
why
your
you
number
go,
one
you
worry.
shit in the RV, dude.
You're not
What,
supposed
like
to
the
shit in
guy
the
that
RV.
lives in your front yard?
Hold on, you don't shit. Who said you're not supposed to
Well,
shit in
you
the
said a
RV?
van, and I'm
Okay.
Yeah, I
talking about
know,
a van.
but that I know, but
Okay, okay, I've been in RV a couple times. You don't really want to shit in RV. It's for emergencies. Like
Well,
it
that's
starts
what
to
they tell you
smell.
when it's not your RV that it's for emergency.
yeah, that's
But
exactly actually.
Oh.
Nobody wants your sloppy Mexican shits. Everyone's go outside in the
They're
woods.
just gonna shit in the RV and then drive around with your shit in the RV for days.
I mean, what's the point of having a
I
bathroom?
mean, it's not in the middle of the floor, dude. It
I
goes down
know
into a tank.
there's a
I don't
toilet
know.
there, you
I
idiot.
don't know. I've been in one, and I don't know. Maybe there was too much shit, but it started to smell, and I was like, "All right, that's not working out. You gotta flush. You gotta empty it out." I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I
Yeah.
would be pulling all the time, dropping deuces at gas stations, and that's a risk in itself. You ever been in a gas station bathroom?
I
It's
have.
like Saw. It's a horror film.
The move is to go to the ones where the truckers. You'd think those would be filthy. They're not, dude. They keep them. They got showers
There's
and
a
like
lot of money in truck stops. They're
yes,
very important.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Where the lizard lot's gonna take a shower, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny, where are they going to wash off your DNA? Well, all I
I'll tell
got
you, the thing where I pointed at the street lamp was I was walking one night and I had just studied that thing, like I had just done some reading about it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna point it. In my head, I was like, I'm gonna point at this light. If this is a real thing, this light will go off right now, and it went off like that. And it freaked, dude, like for days,
shut
it
up,
freaked me out,
Johnny.
bro.
Shut
It,
up.
and then I tried to do it again though, and it didn't work. So
They go, you got it. We don't have to keep
it
doing
freaked
this.
me out though, bro. Like proper.
Johnny, what if it worked again? Would you not be here right now and you just be like Doctor Stranging it all over the place, walking
Well, yeah.
around?
Well, what
with-
use is that? All you
Johnny
can do is
walks
turn off
around with a
street lights?
weird cape
Like,
on and just doing this to everybody.
at least let me turn, the light green at the stoplight. That would be useful, but not turning off streetlights. That's like the dumbest superpower.
Hey, real quick, guys, real quick, go to samtripoli.com. I mean, dude,
Yeah, we'll
dates.
get back to street lamp talk in a second.
No, but I want to talk about that silver thing. I mean, how crazy is that? But go to samtripoli.com. Everything's there. By the way, I don't watch porn, but I try to find picture of porn stars. Not naked, I put. All of a sudden it comes up. But this girl in the middle, I know
Who
her.
is that?
Well, it's very interesting that she actually, I don't want to get too much into it, but I tried to find just non-nude porn pictures, and of course porn came up. But I don't figure it's a
Oh.
slip. Nope. Hey, I'm owning it. It's not a slip. I didn't try to
Hey,
look at porn.
You didn't touch your dick while you watched it, right?
Nope, didn't.
You're good.
Didn't even get
You're
wood,
good.
buddy.
You're
So
good.
all of
You're good.
my dates are, all my videos are there.
Who
all
is
my
she in the middle?
I forget Sierra Leone.
Oh, Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, I believe is her name. But anyways, very
Why
interesting.
would she call her? So why don't you call yourself Gaza Strip or something?
Well, she's Indian.
Crazy.
She's
Oh, really?
Indian.
Oh, that's okay.
And here's what's crazy about her. She got murked in her own house.
Isn't
like,
Sierra
I
Leone
knew-
in Africa though?
I don't know. Look at Sunny Leone or something like that is her
I'll
name.
look her up
Don't look
right
it
now.
up. Don't look it up. Don't look it up.
Yeah, Sierra
XG.
Leone's in Sierra Leone's in
All
Africa.
right, not
bro.
looking it up.
Don't look it up.
Sierra Leone's
man.
in West Africa.
I don't want to look it up, but this is a very interesting story about her. She was she's an Indian porn star. They basically put a bounty on her head when she got really big in India, and then at one point they just loved her, and then she became like a Bollywood star, and then they found her in her house, basically no unalived.
Was it kind of like a Mia Khalifa when she wore the hijab and then people
Wait,
kind of
what?
wanted to kill her?
She's dead?
Yeah, she's dead.
No, she's not.
Sunny Leone.
This says Sunny Leone is a Canadian American actress. And
I must have gotten the wrong name, Johnny. I don't know if you want to
I
put
mean,
in.
this is the woman in the picture, and that woman is alive, and she is Indian.
Okay, Johnny. Now we're in a whole different show.
What? You're just giving us porno disinfo here.
I know Johnny was about to jerk off to a dead lady. Now she's not dead.
Where did Sam go?
Oh, she's not dead. You're right. I could have sworn the story was that she had passed. Wow. Okay. I thought
still-
she died.
You can still.
Well, I'm
jerk
glad
off.
she's alive because I knew her back in the day. So I'm
And
happy
you
she's
still
alive.
know her. Yeah.
Okay,
She's
Johnny.
alive.
Thank you. Then you go, all my premium content is there. Dude, nothing but fire going on in the premium content
Look at
here.
those thumbnails. Look at those thumbnails.
Yeah, I'm not making them. I'm just stealing pictures off the internet. I make no illusions of that. I'm like, does this look like it? And I just post it
You know,
'cause
you can just drop those into AI and say, "Hey, change this just a little bit," and it'll do it. And
I
then
don't know how to do that with
Chat
pictures.
GPT, there's a little button. You upload the picture and say, "Hey, can you just alter this just a little bit?" And then
Okay, Johnny, unlocking new potential. So I'm putting up 3 a week all the time, 2 deep dives. If I can get an interview going, I'll do that. And then, of course, whatever this is, which is the greatest conversation on the internet. Cash Daddy's Patreon, Johnny, what do you think?
Howie, yeah, it's been just running through the world of finance. Great couple of weeks. Destroyed it.
Yep, he's just killing it, dude, and we're proud of that.
Look at that thumbnail.
Look at that
that bit?
thumbnail.
That woman, that crazy woman from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is such an enigma, dude. He's just such an enigma.
He really, yeah, he's
He's just nuts. But go check it out. Patreon.com/cash daddies. New t-shirts are coming out, guys. I have Wood Army coming out. If you're in the Wood Army, all right. And then I'm so excited. They're not up yet. They will be up very soon. I'm putting up Modern Day Prophets, me and my peanut butter hair. So that will be coming out soon too. And then a couple other ones I'm working on. So go check out tinfoilhattshirts.com.